Tonight, horror in the hills. Another Perth woman stabbed in a domestic violence attack. This man charged with attempted murder. After yet another DV crime scene, the minister responsible for protecting women declares reforms are already underway. Caught on camera, a Perth P-Plater's wild shopping centre joyride. A warning on interest rates as Australia's economy flatlines. The death of a hey legend. Stars pay tribute to John Blackman. And the Australian invention reversing vision loss with eye drops.
Live from Perth, 7 News with Rick Ardon.
Good evening and welcome to 7 News. A Perth woman who volunteered to help domestic violence victims is tonight fighting for life after being attacked herself. Paulette Mountford's family have given us permission to share these photos of her smiling. Tonight, the 60-year-old is in Royal Perth Hospital. A man was arrested in the front yard of her Gooseberry Hill home. Neighbours who raced to deliver first aid say the accused attacker stabbed the victim with a knife because she wouldn't stop talking.
Under arrest behind a white picket fence, each hand stained with blood that's now evidence, bagged up for forensic tests as the man accused of leaving a 60-year-old grandmother critically injured in her driveway was being questioned by police.
I don't want to say what, but when you tell someone to shut the up.
Neighbours heard screams and found his alleged victim with stab wounds to her torso and neck.
You just don't think that, something like that would happen, particularly to someone like Paulette. She's very warm, very nice lady. Yes, just hope she gets better.
They provided first aid that might have saved her life as police rushed in to arrest the man accused of trying to take her life, 72-year-old Christopher John Sullivan. Today in court, he declined legal assistance, telling a magistrate, "No, I'm not fussed, I'm going to plead guilty anyway."
Not a very nice world we live in, is it?
Home is meant to be the safest place, and if you can't be safe there, then it's really horrible.
Residents say they heard the man pleading with first responders, allegedly telling them she wouldn't shut up. Tonight he's in a cell while she's fighting for life.
It's unforgivable, that kind of people.
Neighbours we spoke to didn't know him, but knew her well. She always offered a hug and was a volunteer at a local church who helped survivors of domestic violence. Now, a victim herself, fighting to survive.
Nick Overall is at Royal Perth Hospital tonight. Nick, how's the woman doing?
Rick, she's in a critical condition, but Paulette's daughters are by her side here at RPH. This afternoon, they've released a statement thanking those who have helped them, but understandably, they're still in shock. They say, "We are devastated and utterly heartbroken that our dear mother has endured such a horrifying ordeal and is now fighting for her life at RPH. For such a kind-hearted person to suffer so deeply is hard for us to comprehend. All we want at this time is for our mother to overcome her injuries, and we pray and hope that she gets better soon. She's a strong woman, and we know she will be using all her strength to get better. It is too early to think of anything other than our mother's recovery, so we ask that we are given space and privacy to concentrate on our mum. Thank you to those that came to her aid in her time of need and to those who continue to care for her. Doctors are still doing everything they can to help her as pressure mounts on others to do more to stop this alarming surge of violence in homes." Rick?
Yeah, thanks, Nick. The West Australian minister responsible for preventing domestic violence has vowed to fast-track reforms, with the issue dominating headlines. Sabine Winton says the government is already taking action, but there's no quick fix to save lives now. Jeff Parry reports.
Sabine Winton shares the views of most when it comes to the senseless brutality of family and domestic violence. Outrage.
It makes me bloody angry, to be honest. I have 3 daughters.
The Gooseberry Hill knife attack overnight and the Floriat murders almost a fortnight ago grabbed the headlines. But family abuse has its roots deep in society.
1 in 3 women are going to be touched by family and domestic violence.
A 7 News special investigation revealed last night 30 men appeared in Fremantle Court on FTV-related charges in just one day.
Call out violence and to support victim survivors to be safe against the violence that's perpetrated in their homes. That's my job.
Earlier this year, a family and domestic violence task force pledged to implement a 5-year system reform plan. That includes plans for workforce development, better information sharing, stricter risk assessment and management. It was announced in April with a $96 million funding boost. The implementation committee met for the first time yesterday.
We're trying to accelerate whatever we can.
The opposition says the government is all talk, no action.
There has been a 40% increase over the 5-year average when it comes to family and domestic violence here in Western Australia. It is truly an epidemic.
The Liberal leader is also calling for the Corruption and Crime Commission to take over the police internal inquiry into the Floreat double murders. The CCC is still deciding. Jeff Parry, 7 News.
A Perth P-Plater's reckless joyride through a Coburn car park has sparked an urgent warning from WA Police. Officers are tonight hunting the hoon behind the wheel and say wherever possible, charges will be laid. James Carmody has the story.
These women are smiling, but police say it's no laughing matter. Over speed bumps and with tyres squealing. A young driver sporting red P-plates speeds through this Coburn car park, while 3 mates ride side saddle, clinging on.
It's all a joke and it's all fun until someone gets injured or someone dies, and it could very easily happen.
Rob Pike knows better than anyone. At age 17, he was in a car with 3 young friends. The driver was speeding.
We hit a big puddle of water, spun out of control and hit a tree. 3 of my mates died in the car crash that day. I lost both my legs.
Rob now educates young people about road safety.
The reality is that video that I've just seen is that could have gone bad really quickly, just like my story. My hope is that they hear my message and that type of behaviour doesn't happen.
WA Police say behaviours such as this are inherently dangerous, not only to those driving the vehicles, but also to the passengers, spectators and anyone in the vicinity. An investigation is underway and police say wherever possible, charges will be brought against reckless drivers.
In Western Australia, there's no limit on P-platers having passengers in the car, but elsewhere there is, and part of it is to prevent behaviour just like this.
Crazy to see 3, 4 young people just putting their lives at risk, isn't it?
James Carmody, 7 News.
Last night's red-eye flight from Delhi to Melbourne was even longer than anticipated with an unplanned pit stop in Perth. The Qantas flight was already delayed by 4 hours due to high temperatures in India. The Airbus A330 was then diverted to WA to refuel and swap crews. Passengers stayed on the plane and will finally reach their destination later this evening. Australia's economy is on life support tonight with growth of just 1.1% in the year to March. Outside of COVID, it's the lowest level since the recession of the early 1990s, and things could be a lot worse without one American pop star.
Her Eras tour poured $300 million into the economy, and now Swiftonomics has helped keep the economy afloat.
Yes, there were some one-off events.
But not enough to prevent the lowest growth result outside the pandemic since 1991 and this.
This is a recession that Australia had to have.
Economic growth of just 0.1% in the March quarter, 1.1% for the year.
There's a whole generation of Australians who've never seen anything like this.
An economy barely with a heartbeat, consumer spending subdued, household savings at a 15-year low, productivity virtually non-existent.
The primary cause of this very weak growth in our economy was higher interest rates.
The economy is weak, yes.
The Reserve Bank Governor warning if inflation refuses to fall, the RBA won't hesitate in sending rates even higher.
Not ruling anything in, ruling anything out.
Saying the full impact of the final 2 rate rises will only be felt in coming months. Michelle Bullock also revealing the budget's energy bill relief will have little, if any, impact on the RBA's future decisions on interest rates. Saying the $3.5 billion rebates might lower headline inflation but not the underlying rate that the RBA relies on.
We try to look through things that are one-off and are going to be reversed.
Jim Chalmers says the rebates, coupled with stage 3 tax cuts from next month, will help.
Australians in communities right around our country don't need the March national accounts to tell them that things are tight right now and things are tough right now.
And are likely to remain tough for some time.
Mark Riley is in Canberra. Mark, the Greens have been condemned for supporting protesters attacking politicians' offices.
Well, Rick, both Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and Opposition Leader Peter Dutton slammed those pro-Palestinian protesters as anti-Semitic and unacceptable, accusing the Greens of whipping them up, sparking fiery scenes in Parliament.
Enough is enough.
Yeah. The Greens should condemn it instead of condoning it.
Yeah.
I will not be lectured to about peace and non-violence by people who back the invasion of Gaza.
Mr Albanese said the protesters were undermining the Palestinian cause by abusing and threatening innocent electorate officers and should stop. Rick.
Thanks, Mark. The Albanese government has admitted it's unacceptable that nearly 90% of National Disability Insurance Scheme providers are unregistered. It's led to the purchase of drugs, cars and holidays with taxpayers' money.
Some people don't want scrutiny. The truth is, it's doing well, but it needs to have more consistency, equity, transparency and accountability.
Legislation to rein in the cost of the NDIS has cleared the House of Representatives and will now go to the Senate. One of the voices of a generation has fallen silent. The sound of Saturday night TV was John Blackman, his voice famous nationwide. He battled ill health after making a career for being heard more than he was seen. John Blackman passed away yesterday, aged 76.
Funny, sharp-witted, brave in the face of illness, and the old-school voice of Australia's TV weekends.
You're watching Hey Hey It's Saturday.
John Blackman died yesterday. It's believed he had a heart attack, collapsing on the couch in the arms of wife Cecile.
It came as a hell of a shock when I heard today that he'd gone, because he was at my birthday party only a couple of months ago.
He made a name by making a character, Dickie Knee.
My mum actually wears a ponytail like that, but only because she can't afford a facelift.
He'd beaten cancer once, only for it to return.
As you can see, my face has changed a bit. It's not so bad because all the people I borrowed money from don't recognise me anymore. So if you're out there...
When I think of John Blackman, I have the biggest smile because... apart from all that, he was so kind. He was a really kind, one of the goodies in the business.
You're an idiot. How dare you call me an idiot?
You're an idiot.
Well, those glory days of Hey Hey, often you didn't see him, but his presence was always felt.
With the super responsive shit, the bad news is the
Great dad, great brother, a terrific mate, and a really funny guy to be around.
Does your dad know you've got his golfing hat on?
From Daryl Summers, I'm devastated at the loss of my beloved friend.
I love John.
John Blackman was 76. Hey Hey's cartoonist Andrew Fife helping him sign off a final time. Blake Johnson, 7 News.
Medibank is being sued by the privacy watchdog over a breach that exposed personal details of almost 10 million current and former customers. Hackers stole the information in 2022, demanding a ransom which Medibank refused to pay. But it could face fines of more than $2 million for each violation. P&O has cancelled more cruises after the shock decision to retire the brand. Several Pacific Adventure and Pacific Encounter itineraries have been scrapped prior to the liner setting sail under the Carnival brand. The vessels will be out of action for 2 weeks in March for rebranding and tech upgrades. P&O says customers will be contacted for refunds. Australia's Olympians are being warned their experience in Paris is likely to be disrupted by protests or even terrorism. Games officials also believe a cyber attack is almost certain.
Just days after French police arrested a man accused of planning a terror attack on an Olympic soccer stadium, Australian officials confirm security is their highest priority, although
our responsibility is not the security of the Olympic Games, that is the matter for the French authorities.
They've revealed they'll take a federal police officer and 2 security experts.
We have inspected every venue.
An Olympic briefing today to discuss every possible problem. Like the Sens water quality for triathlon and marathon swimming, still failing testing.
We need to prepare them for the possible pathogens that might be in there.
Warnings too on athlete protests.
Not on the field of play and not on the podium.
Preparations a challenge. 460 athletes, 500 coaching staff, 3,000 flights, 500 beds, 8 ice baths. Budget $24 million. But when the athletes pack up and head out of Australia, which many already have, they won't be forced to leave all of their creature comforts behind. The AOC revealing it's gone to great expense and effort to make sure they have everything they need, including, thank you, good coffee. They'll have 3 baristas, like the Tokyo Games, plus pallets of Vegemite, Weet-Bix, 4 and 20 pies.
There'll be pies.
Chris Reason, 7 News.
Later this hour, Hugh Whitfield goes inside the athletes' village in Paris. What our Olympic stars can expect in less than 3 months, and the key piece of equipment our teams have to ship in. Don't miss that story soon on 7 News. There's a warning tonight over a rise in quick fixes for ADHD. Medical professionals say rushed over-the-phone appointments are often inaccurate, leading to wrong diagnoses and incorrect prescriptions.
Phoebe Wilson struggled to sit still and play with her kids.
It was breaking my heart seeing how I couldn't engage with them.
It took 4 months for her to see a psychiatrist. Eventually, she was diagnosed with ADHD and prescribed medication that changed her life.
About 3 days into medication, my children turned around to me and said, "Hey mummy, you're just so kind." And that was enough.
There are clinics offering to cut that wait time and provide a diagnosis in a week. But specialists caution these quick consults can do more harm than good.
It takes at least 2 hours to do a comprehensive assessment. And if you're making a quick fix assessment in 30 minutes, then really accuracy is something you can't guarantee.
Rushed appointments can lead to incorrect diagnoses and the overprescription of medication.
There are quite a lot of interventions that can be done without medication, whether that's through psychology, ADHD coaching.
The use of ADHD medication has more than doubled in the past 5 years. In 2018, 186,000 people had prescriptions. That jumped to 414,000 in 2022. Specialists want greater oversight and regulation. A Senate inquiry last year recommended implementing national guidelines for ADHD prescriptions. The report has sat on the Health Minister's desk for 6 months. He's yet to respond. Lucy Murray, 7 News.
We've enjoyed a sunny Wednesday, Sam, but that's about to change.
Well, Rick, we have not one, but 2 strong cold fronts heading our way. The first will move through tomorrow afternoon and evening. We could get up to 35 millimetres of rain, strong winds and a thunderstorm. That is possibly severe as well. Over the weekend, another strong cold front could bring similar conditions and powerful swell. The systems will impact the whole southwest. So in Bunbury, we're still recovering from the last storm and that tornado. Heavy rain and storms are possible there as well. There are no warnings at this stage, but that could change as the fronts get closer. I hope you enjoyed the midweek blue skies today. It was much warmer than average as well. Our top was almost 24 degrees in the city this afternoon, and the city was actually the warmest location today. For the rest of the metro area, Bickley was the coldest area with 20 degrees. We had 21 in Baldivis and Mandurah and 22 for Hillary's. That much needed rain keeps coming over the next 7 days. We could get more than 80 millimetres. Rick, I'll be back soon with the new forecast.
Thanks, Sam. You're watching 7 News live from Perth. Coming up, asbestos fears. A Perth school's outrage over plans for a poisonous waste dump just metres from classrooms. A man taken to hospital after a freak house fire in Carlisle. What sparked the flames? Plus, Elon Musk stares down Australia for an X-rated win. Also, the new battleground for prenups as divorce rates rise. And the new eye drops preventing the need for surgery. How it could help save your sight. That's later. A man has suffered serious injuries after a home burst into flames in Perth's east. Emergency services found the man in his 40s just after 6 last night on Harris Street. He was taken to Fiona Stanley Hospital under lights and sirens. 7 fire crews worked to extinguish the flames, bringing it under control within half an hour. The The Department of Fire and Emergency Services says a charging e-scooter sparked the intense blaze. Australia's online safety watchdog has dumped its lawsuit against social media giant X for keeping vision online of a Sydney church stabbing. Billionaire tech owner Elon Musk declared the decision a win for free speech.
It's the confronting vision the e-safety commissioner had been fighting to get removed. But after 2 months of legal wrangling, Julie Inman-Grant has dropped the case.
I'm also going to court with X Corp in 5 other cases. So I made a strategic decision to withdraw here.
Still a win for Elon Musk, declaring freedom of speech is worth fighting for.
He issued a dog whistle to 181 million users around the globe, which resulted in death threats directed at me.
The internet safety watchdog had secured an interim global takedown order, which X never complied with, but last month the federal court refused to extend it.
The government backs our regulators and we back the e-safety commissioner.
Ms Inman-Grant opting to continue the battle in the Administrative Appeals Tribunal, where X is challenging the validity of the removal order.
The Commissioner says she welcomes the chance to review her decision, which she insists was made to stop the footage from going viral and potentially inciting more violence.
This is a clear sign that we need to toughen our laws.
News Corp boss Michael Miller advocating for a new social licence framework.
They monetise misery.
Calling for the tech giants to be blocked in Australia if they don't play by the rules.
No company should be too big to regulate.
Rob Scott, 7 News.
Entertainer Kamal has applied for an intimidation charge against him to be dismissed on mental health grounds. The 89-year-old is accused of sending threatening text messages to a much younger woman he'd loaned money to. The case has been adjourned until October. Narendra Modi has been returned as Indian Prime Minister, but it wasn't the landslide he was banking on. While Modi and his supporters celebrated winning a third term, the reality is a drastic swing against the ruling party and its allies. They were tipped to secure 400 seats, but held on with 294 and will rule with a coalition government. The result was too much for the CEO of a major polling company, who broke down in tears on live TV as it became clear his prediction was way off the mark. Nigel Farage's run for UK Prime Minister is off to a shaky start, with the politician pelted with a banana milkshake after his first full day of campaigning. The perpetrator was an OnlyFans model and Labor Party supporter. She was arrested while Farage headed straight for McDonald's, returning with a whole tray of milkshakes. Withdrawals from the bank of mum and dad are driving a rise in prenuptial agreements. Lawyers say more parents are insisting on prenups as they help their adult children buy a home.
For 40% of first home buyers, a loan from mum and dad is the only way to get into the market.
Sold, congratulations.
Now, many parents are looking at protecting that asset, requesting their children sign prenups with their partners.
If their objective is to ensure that it comes back to the family or them in the event of a separation, it is absolutely imperative to at least go into the transaction eyes wide open.
Lawyers say applications for binding financial agreements have risen dramatically over the past few years.
I've seen about a doubling of inquiries.
I think I've probably seen 20% or so.
Attributing the spike to 2 main factors: an increase in the amount of money transferred from generation to generation, and younger couples taking proactive steps to protect themselves from a messy divorce, most often because they've seen it happen to family or friends.
People, I think, are more aware of changes in their lives, and so they're more likely to consider risk management.
The documents are binding, but that hasn't stopped people debating them in court. Lawyers say this often happens when the agreement heavily favours one party.
Lots of reasons. There's been lots of case law over the last 20 years or so, with people trying to extract themselves from, unfortunate agreements they've entered into.
Bethan Yeoman, 7 News.
After the break, new research just out on what internet addiction is really doing to our children's brains. A must-see report for parents. A toxic dump fails the test. Outrage over plans for an asbestos waste site just metres from classrooms. Find out where. Plus, we reveal the DIY projects costing Western Australian homeowners a fortune. And the eye drops that could help save your sight. That's still to come. A Dianella school says it's been blindsided by a proposal for a toxic waste dump just metres from classrooms. The Department of Health and local council are against it, but the final decision is out of their hands.
Just 580 metres south of St Andrew's Grammar lies a site for a proposed poisonous waste dump. Its principal now leading opposition plans.
You could have any child from the age of 3 to the age of 18 being exposed within less than 600 metres from noxious waste.
Including asbestos. The school says they weren't even consulted about the proposal, one that's also just metres away from residential properties and an aged care home.
So you're talking a lot of people in our community that's going to be affected by this.
Prompting fear in parents and staff.
You know, we've got very young children here, all the way in pre-kindy, pre-primary, and to have something built so close to our school really is concerning for their health and well-being.
It's revolting. I can't understand any logic behind it.
7 News understands a development application was filed with the local council to change the use of the former landfill site on Alexander Drive. The developers declined to comment.
The City of Stirling says it received more than 250 submissions about the proposal, and while it does not support the project, it's not authorised to make the final decision.
The call comes down to the WA Planning Commission.
And we'll continue to make sure that the WA Planning Commission takes concerns of local stakeholders into account as part of its decision making.
In a statement, the Commission says it will make a decision in due course. For now, it's an anxious wait. Francesca Danuccio, 7 News.
The federal government says there's new hope for the struggling Medicare system despite the latest figures. In the last financial year, GPs had 3 million fewer visits, while bulk billing rates have fallen again. Health Minister Mark Butler is blaming artificial inflation for the drop-off, arguing visits to the doctors spiked during the COVID years. New research has exposed the damage that internet addiction is now causing our children. It's prompted an urgent warning to parents on the danger of overexposure to social media and gaming.
Internet addiction, young minds being overrun by the online world.
Social media is a big one. Gaming is a big one. Pornography is another one.
An obsession so excessive it's rewiring teenagers' brains.
They're showing that it has these effects on the biology of the developing adolescent.
UK researchers reviewed 12 studies analysing the brains of more than 200 teens with a diagnosed internet addiction, finding consistent evidence of disrupted signalling in crucial regions of the brain. It was particularly significant when participants tried to engage in activities that relied on the central executive network, crucial for attention, decision-making, planning and problem-solving.
A lot of clinical disorders begin in adolescence, so it is a really crucial time.
While more research is needed to identify how the brain changes are occurring, scientists stress addiction isn't the same as exposure, and people can spend a lot of time online without being addicted.
Switching off sometimes the only solution, though that's easier said than done.
There are support groups for people with digital and internet addictions, but a lot of them are online, so that can be challenging.
Amber Laidler, 7 News.
A woman and her teenage daughter have been injured in a head-on collision in Queensland. A car veered onto the wrong side of the road before slamming into their Porsche Macan. The dramatic smash was captured on dashcam.
Oh my God.
Police are investigating, but no one has been charged. DIY disasters are on the rise as Western Australian property owners look to save money on home renovations. Tonight, 7 News can reveal the top 5 tasks most likely to fail.
This is how a bathroom should be built, something Troy Shetter discovered the hard way when the young first homebuyer's dream property turned out to be a house of horrors.
It looked good for all of 10 minutes and then, it all just started crumbling away.
Behind the neat facade lurked multiple disasters, from dodgy stud walls to a homemade bathroom riddled with dampness and mould.
The shower had been leaking. Removing the top of the drain in the shower showed that it was just a shower base on top of another shower base.
DIY disasters are on the rise, with new research finding 43% of homeowners have had a job turned sour. The top 5 epic fails are painting, landscaping, plumbing, cabinetry and tiling. All the effort to save money can be costly to fix.
Whole decks and pergolas being pulled down, bathrooms and kitchens being ripped out.
We were lucky to get away with 15 grand, and it's a decent sized bathroom, so it's a lot of tiles and a lot of time and effort going into it.
With building material costs up by a third on pre-pandemic prices, it's little wonder budgets are tight for renovators.
Trying to save every dollar, you can't blame them, but unfortunately, in most cases, it leads to a much bigger and costly exercise.
Homebuyers are urged to obtain pre-purchase building inspections, which cost as little as $600. Jackie Quist, 7 News.
Coming up, Paris set to heat up. 7 News has had the only Australian cameras inside the athletes' village. Ahead, what's missing from the rooms. Also endorsed by Bluey, how your kids can get real-life dollar bucks. Simple drops saving eyesight, a special medical report.
And coming up in sport, are Freo the real deal? Geelong legend Joel Selwood has his say. Plus, a dream debut for the Eagles and heartbreak for Novak at the French Open.
Now, Fuel Watch. Perth's petrol prices brought to you by Fuel Watch and 7 News.
The Australian share market has closed 31 points higher today, with hopes the slowdown in gross domestic product could signal interest rate relief. In response, real estate stocks were among the best performers, offsetting the losses in energy and mining. Iron ore futures are at a 7-week low right now. It's sitting at $107.50 a tonne. The Australian dollar is generally stronger against the majors. It's buying 66 US cents and 52 British pence. Paris is expecting some hot weather during the games, but air conditioning is not fitted at the athletes' village. The rooms are almost complete, and 7 News was the only Australian media to take cameras inside.
What was once an industrial estate and film studio site, soon to welcome the athletes of the world. 2 kilometres from the main stadium, the Paris Olympic Village. More than 2,000 apartments, some on an island in the Seine. 14,250 cardboard beds. Definitely strong enough, we're told, for more than one person.
So I really hope that the Australians will have a good time here. We are making everything to make sure that we will answer their needs.
Like keeping cool, there'll be no air conditioning provided. Australia will buy in its own.
There is potential for extreme heat to occur during the Olympic Games. We need to put measures in place.
Athletes in poorer nations will be told to keep their curtains shut while cold water is pumped through the floors. Half an hour from the village, this is where many of our athletes will be competing, in the heart of Paris, surrounded by the city's landmarks. This will be the finish line for the triathlon and the cycling time trial on Pont Alexandre III. Plus, the Le Concorde will host urban sports, including skateboarding, the archery here at Invalid. The game's boss with this advice for Brisbane.
It's get your vision clear from the start and be consistent, coherent throughout.
As the French capital counts down. In Paris, Hugh Whitfeld, 7 News.
It's known for low prices. Now Aldi is planning the same deal with insurance. The supermarket chain is offering good, different car, home and contents coverage. It says all customers will be treated the same, unlike insurers that only tend to reward new clients. Prices will be competitive and the policy language straightforward. Australia's favourite blue healer is getting her own money, known as dollar bucks. The Bluey collection will be released tomorrow by the Royal Australian Mint. The 3 $1 coins feature the TV star on her own, with her family and dressed up as the grannies. The limited edition currency can be purchased individually or as a set and is expected to sell out fast. The simple eye drop that could help save your sight. Still to come, the groundbreaking alternative to invasive eye surgery. And it's all thanks to the work of Australian scientists. We'll take you inside their lab. Don't miss that story soon on 7 News. The first Ryanair Spot Ride, a remarkable debut coming for West Coast.
Rick, it truly is the stuff of fairy tales, a real dream come true. We'll hear from the excited youngster straight after the break. Plus, the real deal, the former AFL champion who says the Dockers are a flag contender. And down and out, injury forces Novak's exit from the French Open. In proof, dreams do come true. Mid-season draftee Jack Hutchinson will make his AFL debut on Saturday, just 10 days after being picked up by the Eagles. The former Collingwood VFL forward kicked 5 goals in his first game for the West Coast WAFL side on the weekend and will line up against North Melbourne on Saturday.
I got the honour of announcing a player number 291, Jack Hutchinson, for his first game. Look, it's been a pretty quick path here, mate, for the last few days, but I know you've spent a long time getting here as well, so congratulations on behalf of all of us. I know there's a lot of new faces you haven't even met yet, mate, so is there anything you'd like to say to the group?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank all the boys who made the move over real easy, and the club too. It's been unreal, so yeah, can't wait to get out there on Saturday.
What's your nickname?
Hutchie.
Hutchie will be the Eagles' 5th AFL debutant of the season and will wear number 44 for West Coast. Well done to him. Freo will play finals in 2024, according to Geelong champion Joel Selwood. He's backed the Dockers in for September and praised a former teammate, now in purple, who's in all-Australian form.
The middle of the season and the middle of the country, but the message the Dockers sent has been heard everywhere.
That Fife, you can hear the Dockers fans get even more excited now.
Heading into the bye in the top 6, and according to a man who knows a thing or two about winning, Freo are genuine contenders.
I think they are the real deal. I mean, they've come up against Collingwood, who they drew with, and then they had a tough loss against Port earlier on in the year, and if they got over those two, they'd be sitting second on the ladder right now.
A chance now presenting itself to lock that in. 5 of their 7 games post-bye against teams outside the 8. A maiden Dockers flag not out of the question.
They would need to play some home finals if they're to win it, so they need to finish in the top 4 and they'll be a great chance.
The Demons game a sign of what they can do when they kick straight. Getting it to their forwards in the right spot consistently, the next challenge.
I think they need to work on their connection going inside 50. I think if they break down, that's the area that they have the most trouble with against the best sides.
One man leading the charge, doing it from the back line. A former Cat, Jordan Clark, amassing 100 touches in the last 3 weeks.
Well, I'm not surprised at all. I mean, there's a reason why the Cats wanted to keep him, and he is in all-Australian form at the moment, the way that he's going, and look, he'll finish the year strongly, and I think the Fremantle Dockers need him to.
Hear more from Selwood on Talking Footy tonight at 9:30 on 7. Lockie Burns, 7 News.
After Harley Reid's tribunal ban, there's been a lot of talk about whether suspended players should be eligible for awards. Ben Cousins won both the Brownlow and the Rising Star Award and has some thoughts. Here's Ben with Barra.
Now, Ben, as Ryan said, you won the AFL's Rising Star Award in 1996, so you're the perfect bloke to ask. I like the tradition of it being a best and fairest award, but what was classed as fairest back then and what's fairest now, they're quite different things.
Yes, they are. Prior to the modern game, most suspensions were from striking charges. These days, with so many rule changes, the intricacy surrounding how many players are suspended is often the result of something unintentional or just negligible at best.
I think you're right. So what you're saying is things like the modern concerns about the potential to cause a concussion has really changed things up.
Yes, so maybe the answer is to have all incidents that are classified low to medium impact by the match review panel should not prevent you from winning the Rising Star or Brownlow medal.
I think that's a brilliant suggestion. Now, we can't move on without talking about the Dockers. What a stunning performance against the Demons. I reckon now they should target a top 4 finish.
Oh, well, no doubt. With the evenness of the competition, they would be crazy to put a ceiling on what they can achieve in this second half of the season. I think a top 4 finish is certainly not beyond them.
And that's where you win premierships. And one of WA's greatest footy identities has passed away. What a record he had too, the great John Todd.
Yeah, really sad day for the football industry. A genuine football legend. I grew up hearing the stories and how revered Toddy was as a player, which has always seemed extraordinary to me that it was all done up until the age of 21 when injury struck him and he didn't play again, but then went on to reinvent himself as a super successful coach of over 700 games.
700 games and 6 premierships. What an incredible achievement. Valet to the great John Todd, Rhino.
Well said, guys. He was an absolute champion. And speaking of champions, WA's fighter Jack Della Maddalena says there's another name to keep an eye out for on the card for Perth's upcoming UFC 305 in August. He'll miss with a broken arm, but says fellow local Steve Urseg would thrive in front of the home crowd.
I think pressure always creates the win and everything to be that much better. So it's a great experience, and yeah, I think Steve will shine in that position, and it's pretty exciting for him.
The card will be announced soon. Novak Djokovic's latest reign on top of the world rankings is already over after he withdrew from the French Open with a knee injury. Jannik Sinner will become Italy's first ever male #1 next week. The Australian Open champion advanced to the semi-finals with a straight sets win over Grigor Dimitrov. He'll now play Spanish phenom Carlos Alcaraz, who dispatched Stefanos Tsitsipas in straight sets. While two-time defending women's champion Iga Swiatek also eased into the final four. And Queensland are leading the state of origin 20-6 over New South Wales. Rick, it is nearing half-time.
Thank you, Ryan. It's a leading cause of vision loss in those over the age of 50, and treatment for macular degeneration can often be time-consuming and invasive. But Australian researchers are now working on a groundbreaking alternative involving a simple eye drop.
Karen Mazurek was diagnosed with wet macular degeneration a decade ago. A leading cause of vision loss, the symptoms can be severe and sudden.
Once diagnosed, the major loss with the vision was quite extreme.
She needs eye injections every 7 weeks or else she could go blind.
So there's limits on where I can go and what I can do.
But there's hope. A new, less invasive option could soon be available, with the team at the Australian Centre for Eye Research developing a cutting-edge form of gene therapy.
Potentially replace need for regular eye injection with a simple eye drop.
Creating a new functioning copy of the defective eye gene, which is delivered into the retinal cells via a specially engineered non-infectious virus injected once into the back of the eye. That gene can then be switched on with the eye drop that a patient can do themselves at home.
More convenient and also more comfortable.
It would be groundbreaking. It would completely change the way macular degeneration is treated, and it would be so much easier for the patient as well.
The technology is still 5 to 10 years away from moving to human trials, but if successful, it's believed the jobs could also be used to treat a range of other eye conditions and diseases.
This can be used for things like diabetic macular edema, vein occlusion.
Amber Laidler, 7 News.
Sam Jolly's back with 2 cold fronts heading our way, Sam.
Yeah, Rick, the first storm system will impact the metro area tomorrow night, the other over our weekend. I'll be back right after the break with all the details.
Tonight, Origin 1. We'll tell you who won. We cross for the latest on the State of Origin. Marking D-Day, 80 years on, we'll take you to England, and the tributes for TV and radio legend John Blackman, dead at the age of 76. The latest tonight after 10:45.
We were repeatedly ignored.
One of the most harrowing interviews I've seen in my 4 decades delivering the news to Perth.
7 News goes further.
Common sense suggests there's danger.
To bring you the truth behind the stories that affect us all.
There should be enough water.
7 News at 6.
Welcome back. What a midweek treat we've had. Blue skies and warmer than average maximums, but that is going to change from late tomorrow. The much needed rain will be back. We had a top of almost 24 degrees this afternoon. The average for June is just 19. The city was actually the warmest location today. Bickley was the coldest with 20 degrees. We had 21 for Rockingham and 22 for Hillary's. Right now it is 16 degrees in the city and the winds are calm. The first cold front will move through tomorrow afternoon and evening. We're expecting heavy rain, strong winds and a storm. Over the weekend, another strong front may bring similar conditions and powerful swell. The systems will impact the whole southwest. And New South Wales will be hit with wet weather at the same time as us, with big falls expected from late tomorrow into Friday. Cloudy and 15 in Hobart tomorrow, clear and 23 for Brisbane. Statewide, it's looking warm and sunny in our top end tomorrow, a sunny 21 in Kalgoorlie. Rain increasing in Jurien Bay and then wet and stormy across the southwest. On local waters, there is a strong wind warning tomorrow. Northerly winds increasing to 30 knots in the morning before shifting moving southwesterly up to 20 knots in the evening. Seas and swell peaking at 3 metres. So we're down to 12 degrees tonight with a top of 24 tomorrow. That wet and stormy weather will roll through in the afternoon and the evening, giving us up to 35 mils of rain and a potentially severe thunderstorm. Then just a shower or two for Friday, and the wet weather and the stormy conditions will be back on Saturday, up to 20 mils of rain, most likely in the afternoon and the evening. Even heavier rain possible during Sunday. Then lighter showers for Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday. Now for tonight's winning lotto numbers, they are 13, 19, 22, 14, 35, 23 and the sups are 8 and 2. Those numbers again are 13, 19, 22, 14, 35, 23 and the sups are 8 and 2. Rick.
Thanks, Sam. That's 7 News for this Wednesday. We'll be back with updates a little later. Stay with us now for Home and Away and enjoy your night here on 7.